Well, the NCAA tournament is here, and our players and our staff, and I think the volleyball community is really excited to get this NCAA tournament started. We're really honored to be able to host, being one of the top 4 seeds. We've been working hard at that. The last 2 years we've missed out, being the number 5. So it's going to be nice being back in Gregory, and we're well aware that we need our fans to come out, but also that we need to take this one match at a time. And the parity amongst the teams in women's volleyball continues to grow, and we're not going to overlook anybody and do the best job preparing our team so they can be successful each night out.
So just hosting at home, throughout the whole way now, how big is that for you?
Well, the home court advantage is big, especially with our crowd, and the great thing about the Longhorn fans is that when it's the NCAA tournament, they feel that a little bit more, and they get a little bit louder. So we're hoping that every time that we score a point, they start standing up and cheering and getting behind us and actually become very active in participating and pushing us along.
How would you rate a home court advantage among the top 10 in the nation, Jerritt?
Yeah, there's a handful of teams that have really good home court advantages. There's a few in the Big Ten, in Wisconsin. I think Penn State's pretty loud. Minnesota's really good. Nebraska's big. Hawaii will sell out probably 9,500. You saw it at the Baylor game. I think we had 7,800 fans, and the sport of volleyball has continued to grow, and it's an active game, and the people that come to watch it are really impressed when they see it live in action.
Do you have any surprises about the seedings and the playoffs in general? Any surprises?
There wasn't any real surprises. I thought we'd be the number 3 seed instead of the number 2 seed, just because Stanford had the head-to-head against us. But I think they looked at the body of work, and Stanford had a couple losses without their top player. And 1, 2, 3, or 4 doesn't really matter. It matters what you get in 5, 6, 7, and 8, and the rest of the seeding. I think. If you look down the tournament, there's a lot of good teams in our bracket. You got Florida and Minnesota, but Minnesota is probably deservedly of a top 4 team if they're healthy the whole year, and now they're just getting healthy. So, Florida's going to be good. Western Kentucky's going to be good. I think every team we play is going to be good.
But I know this is y'all's time. This is what you guys prepare for all season long. How prepared is this team to face this road coming up?
That's the fun part about this. Coaches, you perceive what you think where your team is at. I feel really good about the way that they behaved and managed themselves throughout the season. So, over a period of time, consistency shows kind of who you are. So we have that. Some of these girls will be playing in the tournament for the first time. So we'll see how they kind of deal with that. But I think we prepared them well. I think they're in a good position. I know they're excited. Yesterday's practice, you could see oh wow, there's a whole other level that these girls have, because I think they're starting to feel it and taste it and get excited about it.
How far has Bree come, and how would you explain her impact since coming back from her injury?
Bree is one of the most dominant middle blockers in the country. She's had an unfortunate year that she came back and she was a little bit injured, and we had to really monitor it, and it was very inconsistent with her practice levels. We'd play her and then we'd sit her out for a couple of days and put her back in there. So her rhythm was kind of in flux a lot of the time. In the last week and a half, she's practiced every day, and yesterday she was the most dominant she's ever been. So that bodes really, really well for us, and I'm excited about it. And when she goes at that level, it takes us to a whole nother level.
And how did she fit in her place among the blockers and following great player like Shiaka?
It's funny, they were joking the other day. They're like, "This is middle blocker you," because of Rachel Adams and Chiaka, and we've had Lauren Paolini, and we have Jen Doris who's playing, and we've had a lot of great middle blockers in this program, and it's been fun to see. But I think they take a lot of pride into it. She has the upside to be able to be at that same level. She continues to mature, and we'll see where she develops to. But she has the skill sets to get to that level, and it's always fun to see your former players like Chiaka have a real good chance to make it the national team. We could have two middle blockers that are in the Olympics this summer.
What have you seen from Albany, Coach?
I'm actually just getting the film now. Okay. I think kind of looking at their record, they've got a couple good players. They've got some good kill percentage. I've looked at some of that stuff, but I'll get a chance to see them a little bit more today and break them down.
You know about their schedule? Whether they played a very tough schedule at all?
You know, they struggled in the preseason. I think they started 2-11, and then they came back and won their conference tournament and were in that position. So, but they've had some close games with some pretty reputable teams out there. So, again, it's more about how we play, how we prepare, how we deal with them. Because, as we know from the previous years, teams come out and they play at a completely different level when they see us across the net.
You talk about Gregory Joe, but just talk about being in your facilities. Is this a team that likes to be at home and familiarity and all that?
Yeah, you know, we're a young team. You know, we're not a high-level communicative team, meaning like there's not a whole lot of talk going on during the points or as things kind of change, and it's part of being young. So that crowd gives us that extra juice. You know, we've played really well at home this year, and so, you know, statistically our numbers have been a little bit better at home. So I know that they get fired up when our fans and our students and our band is there, and the crowd continues to learn how to cheer, how to play, and you'd be amazed that when they do that, the crowd gets behind them, the different level of momentum it creates.
What's your biggest concern as the tournament starts going all the way, Jerritt?
You know, is where we are from an emotional standpoint as we prepare. I think you as a coach, you've been through this a lot. You know, letting them understand that we do not need to be perfect to win a match. You have to find a way to kind of win it, and sometimes it's winning ugly. Sometimes it's by winning by 2 points, and that's really the key. You know, the media and the fans and everybody else wants you to play perfectly all the way through. To me, I don't really care about playing perfectly all the way through. I want to play good enough to win the match that's in front of us and win that, and then advance, and then hopefully get a little rhythm and confidence as you kind of keep advancing through the tournament, and they start believing that, hey, we can really win this thing.
You don't have a slogan or any mantra that you relied on this season or now, have you?
It's been believe. It's been our main one that we've had. Believe.
Believe?
You know, just when you're young and you're growing up and you're an athlete, there's a lot of self-talk that goes on as an athlete. And the great ones believe in themselves and carry themselves in a certain way and are able to face adversity a little bit differently when things are tough. Because you're not going to play great every single day. And so when you believe in yourself, but more importantly, you believe in your teammates that they can help you during those times, good things can happen.
What do you think of Baylor's chances of advancing?
The same as ours. You know, they got a tough road. They got a tough little first and second round, and they're going to have to play well. You know, I think there's a good 10 teams that have a chance, 12 teams that might have a chance to win this national championship. So it's that deep. And there's probably 25 teams that have a chance to knock off a seeded team.
So that's just growing all the time?
The game is continuing to grow. You know, we're getting a huge influx of athletes coming into our sport. I think the crowds are growing across the way, and the level of play is getting at a much, much higher level. So this is probably the most parity that I've ever been in college volleyball right now. It's great for our fans. It's great for the sport. The sport continues to kind of just take off. And the crowds are showing that people are actually understanding the game a little bit better. But when you go live, you're blown away by the athleticism that these athletes have.
Jerritt, how important do you think the national team has been to Logan and Skylar and Molly's development? I know you had Mrs. Skylar and Logan the last 2 years, but how big has that been for their development?
Yeah, the U.S. national team stuff is, you know, we're a big proponent of that. You know, you're always kind of, it's a give and take because you're worried about injuries and them coming back and how they, you know, are able to function because they're just athletes that are taking a lot of pounding with the sport. It's one of the reasons that I coached this summer, just to kind of manage that impact and make sure that they were in a good spot. But when you play international level, these are players that, you know, when we played Italy, they play in the A1 division where Chiaka is playing right now. So the level of experience they get, the level of confidence they get, they see the game at a little bit faster and different speeds. They have to play 6 rotations for someone like Logan was huge because we couldn't take her out this summer. And then kind of seeing the schematics and the game plans that you have to come up with. So international competition definitely accelerates the level of volleyball IQ. It's why you don't see a lot of 18, 19-year-olds in the Olympics because it takes that long to understand the game at a high level. There's some really physical players at a young age, but they don't have the IQ or the mindset or the understanding of the game. So anytime that happens, being able to play 6 rotations, it's somewhere we lack as a country because of our rules and our structure of what we have, but it's been a big development for them, confidence-wise, playing-wise, skill-wise, and they've loved it.
The players that you have either signed or committed that go, is it tough to trust them? Trust other coaches with your players? Are you ever worried about them being overworked or, you not being able to, have that control?
100%. That's the big discussions that I have with the national team when I'm doing this and how they're going to be managed and making sure that we know their trainers and our trainers are in communication. And then, like with Bree this summer, I was on the phone with her basically every single day. How's she feeling? Everything okay? Are you making everybody aware? Are you doing your rehab? Because this summer, probably had an impact on where she was from her lower extremity, and we had to kind of sit her out. So it's kind of a give and take. But she came back with a lot more experience. She saw the game at a much different level. She was a lot more confident. Her blocking got better. So it's definitely a give and take. But we support it. We just got to learn how to manage it. And sometimes if I have to go or my coaches have to go, then we'll do that just for the benefit of our athletes.
Does Bree's personality come out on the court?
Yes, well, at times. She's got a little nasty streak in her. It's just trying to get that nasty streak out. Like the bigger the game is, I'm always joking with her and kind of giving her a hard time, but she's one that she doesn't know how good she is. Sometimes I tell her I wish I could screw my head off and screw it on her body and go play, because she just has all the pieces, and she's got that unbelievable ability to take over the game. But also, she is a player that can single-handedly defeat a team from an emotional standpoint, because you don't have an answer. She can control the game defensively, she can control the game offensively, and it just like, our team just kind of looks at each other when they play against us like, oh, I don't have an answer for that one, and that can be overwhelming.
And her power, is it set her apart?
It's not so much her power. I mean, she's quick.
Yeah.
She's got a quick hand on it, but it's her physicality. She's able to we had a discussion with the setter the other day about set selection and what we should be doing. She's like, well, they were triple blocking on Bree.
Yeah.
And I said, guess what? Bree can go over them. It doesn't matter. And you should be letting them know, like, I'm going over you and I'm still setting her. Because then that opens up the rest of the offense of it goes. So I kind of like to compare it to men's football. If you can rush and really run, that opens up the receivers. Same thing in volleyball. If you can really run your middles, it'll really create some seams and opportunities for your outside hitters to be successful, and you become a lot more balanced and overwhelming to kind of stop and control.
And did her redshirt year help her a lot?
Yes, it was a challenging time for her, but it not only helps them from getting stronger, getting the skill set and kind of seeing the game, but they're also they're growing up and they're 18 and they think they're mature, but the levels of years that you grow emotionally from being 18 to 19, 19 to 20 are very big, and you can see that with Kea, who's now 23 years old, on our court, the advantage that has for us as a team.
What is, for you as a coach, what is this tournament experience like as far as like preparation goes with the parent of the team? Is it one of those things where we just need to focus on us, or are you trying to get as much scouting information in the little time that you have, especially on the weekend where we only have 24 hours?
Well, it's nice because we have something called Data Volley. It's a statistical program. It's basically analytics, and we can break down the court into 9 zones, and we can get every contact, and we have it. It's a shared file, so we can go back and get as many matches as we want. So we can learn all the weaknesses and tendencies. Eric's my defensive coordinator, so he's kind of going through all the scout reports. We have somebody that's breaking the film down. So that side of it gets organized. Eric prepares for all the teams. I prepare for the teams. I have a little bit more advantage. I get all the results in front of me, and so I can watch stuff and break it down a lot faster than by the time he gets it to me. But I'll focus all on Albany and watching kind of the offensive side of what we need to do a little bit more to be able to score and do that. But a lot of it has to do with our side of the net, where my team is emotionally, what my emotions are like, how I'm getting them ready, how they see me with body language, and then having lots of little talks to see where they are confident-wise, and letting them enjoy this process because it's fun. But they realize it, and that's why they come to Texas, and they got to show up and play.
You talk to your team about intimidating other opponents?
I don't know if that's more of a media thing than intimidating the opponents. We talk about taking not worrying about what the other team is going to bring, but more about what we're going to bring to the floor. I mean, we need to come up and show up and get after them, and when we do that, that's when we can become really good. So the intimidate, I don't know if it's. I wish we could intimidate everybody and they just kind of quiver, but at some point you match up mano-a-mano with people that can do the same thing, with coaches that have the same level as we do, or even a higher level. in our bracket is Hugh McCutcheon, who's been with the national team, Olympic team, and won some medals. And there's some high level coaches that you'll match up to. So it's a fun part of the season to kind of really play that matchup.
I'm sure you answered this already, but what are your initial thoughts about Albany and what they're able to bring to the court?
Yeah, I was just saying I have not seen them yet. They're breaking down that film. I'm actually going to go upstairs and download that now and watch that. They're a solid team. They deserve to be in the tournament because they won their conference tournament, but they don't have the resume to be in if they weren't in that. So for me, it's more about what is our team going to be like? Can we get a good rhythm off it? Can we play at a high level? Because they still got some really nice athletes and they can play the game. So we're excited about that. But this one is definitely more about our side of the net and making sure that we're managed well and we're playing and we're executing. Because if we execute, then there should be some success. But that's the biggest fear that I have as a coach. I shouldn't say fear, but that's my biggest responsibility as a coach.
Did Molly and Skylar give you what you expected out of their freshman year?
More. Molly was a young lady that was 6'2", and then she grew to 6'5", and was playing multiple positions. And we knew that she had a very good volleyball IQ, but I didn't know how good it was until this summer. Her level-headedness, the way that she competes, the way that she sees the games, the ways that she creates opportunities to score. She's a great teammate. She's going to be one of the really special ones. She doesn't stand out because she doesn't jump as high as everybody else or as dynamics, but her numbers, you can see, are really good. And then Skylar, obviously had all the accolades, but we didn't know from an emotional standpoint what she would be able to do competitive-wise on a daily basis. And we've been very, very impressed. She's been a great teammate, worked really hard, and it's been a long season, a long grind for her with those responsibilities. So yesterday was a day that there was a little bit more enthusiasm from her, and you could see her jump increase a little bit.
Who's got the best vertical on the team?
Me?
Well, 40?
No. The best vertical on the team is probably Bree or Skylar. I don't have it in front. They're both at, I think Skylar is at 10'10" and Bree's close to 11 feet. So that's why people that come into the games are blown away by the level of athleticism.
Did you, since Molly had that growth spurt when she committed it as a sophomore, did you project her to be a middle, or do you think she'd be on the pins?
We projected her as a middle, and now we're thinking can she play some pins as well? She's a player that can do a lot of different things, so she's going to be a multifaceted player for us and have a bright future in this program.